Hello, everybody, and welcome to my show. I am the Holistic-Yogi, Kamala Ingrid, and today I am bringing a wonderful host, a dear friend. I haven't seen her in a while, but we do follow each other on Instagram, and her name is Desiree Davila. She is a nurse, and today our topic is about how she heals her life on her health and also mental, and like I said, mind and body come together. So let me introduce you to this wonderful lady, and she will give you her credentials and everything from it. Go ahead. It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good.
It's a pleasure and honor.
This has been a big step for me. So yes, it's an honor to have you because I'm like, oh my God, I haven't spoken to you, but I've noticed that in Instagram, you've changed a lot of your whole post has become more holistic, basically, kind of like everything I love. So I kind of want to dive deep into it. So go ahead and let people know who you are. You are a RN nurse, right?
Yes, I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for, I'm gonna say, over 20 something years.
Awesome.
And that career has truly been a gift for sure.
Especially during COVID. Thank you so much for what you guys have been doing for us.
Well, I tell you, it's a support in the back. It is definitely something. It's a time in our universe where we realize we are really only one. And it took a little invisible microbe to really shift
thank you all.
The universe.
Yeah, we thank you all because who knew that we would end up in a pandemic in our lifetime? You hear about this in the past, but no one saw this coming, and I got to say, everybody had to come together, and you first responders. So I'm sure a lot of changes, a lot of mental stuff that you had to put yourself
first.
It
is tremendous. It is tremendous. It is tremendous. And I've seen all healthcare workers and communities impacted. When I started in nursing, the other invisible microbe that was affecting a global, our global existence was the immunocompromised HIV, that virus. Wow. So I started there. And
give me chills.
I entered pediatric nursing and did the terminal AIDS patients. So when we talk about getting to today and watching this global pandemic and the comments and the things, we didn't have a global clinical trial to try to prevent the spread. This was blood contact. And I was serving patients in hospitals when they would close the doors and put signs on the door, HIV, like it was known. So look where we've come. We had an era where we had to develop universal precautions. So hand washing is not new. This was something we needed to do,
and we still need to do this, whether this is gone tomorrow or in a year. Everybody needs to practice hygiene. That's key.
Practice hygiene and practice that we all are exposed and we all have the capacity to either carry it or deliver. And that's the whole concept of healing life in the first place. But what at least now we're not shunning people because they have COVID. Yes. Now we gasp and we're like, oh my God, are they okay?
Exactly.
That population didn't have that.
Exactly.
So I was in public health taking care of the terminal children and their families, because when someone is in dis-ease, the lack of ease, it impacts everything.
Everybody close. Absolutely. And it affects them in a very mental state too, because even though they may not carry it, the loved ones are not carrying, is how also society sees it.
Oh, absolutely. And then depending on the media, and to be holistic minded, which is, wow, if I were to do the career over again with the enlightenment that I have now, I can't even wrap my brain around it.
That's crazy.
I just know that hand holding, physical touch, echinacea plant, these are aloe vera. These were things that we were doing for that particular population in the 90s.
Yeah.
So now, aloe vera is this amazing thing today. This is existence, and we didn't discover it in the 90s either. This is indigenous.
And that's been something that's been ancient. Exactly. And what I love about it is that we're now tapping into the roots. Since we've been in COVID time, it actually has brought us back into basically going deeper. I think that I've noticed it's not so, because it's not so new. I got my certification in herbal academy school, and I did it online during COVID time because it's something I've been dreaming to do for so long, and here I am doing it finally. And it's crazy because yes, there's so much, and I raised my daughter very homeopathic. I didn't go into modern medicine unless I had a choice, but she's an asthmatic child. So as she got older, she developed better and better immune system, and she's a lot better now. She hardly has, only somehow sometimes weather will impact her.
Right, right.
And certain pets, if they got carry too much of their oily, that it can set herself off, and then her bronchioles will close up or something. But that's very rare now. It's like she's gotten better and better in building her immune system, and she's a vegan, so it helps her.
That is the power of the plant. The power of the plant. And being an RN in the healthcare industry today, there's this. It's juxtaposed. It's almost like you get considered woo-woo because you're talking about the fact that you do need a great gut health so that you can prevent the mucus buildup that ends up collecting in the lungs. And people are like, what are you talking about? The intestine and the lung.
You say that, I have to build that. That's the one thing that is in my family gene, and it's where I hold my stressors today. And that's exactly where I'm working on at the moment, working on building gut health, and working on that. We're always improving, aren't we? So it's a lifelong
always. If we don't,
thing.
We're done. Absolutely.
Exactly. But that's one of the things, you bring the gut health. I'm like, yeah, that's a reminder. But
I'm working on that. We all work on it. I mean, we have if we look at society and how it changed, back from World War II. Not that, I mean, I'm not that aged. However, there's some tread on this tire. But when we look at the way society unfolded in World War II, putting women into workforce because men were at war, right?
Yes.
Then what happened to the home? So food had to change. I mean, there's movies on this, like Forks Over Knives.
It's a good one.
There's so many of these movies,
yes.
Right? And when I watched it, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the development of processed foods, how we took an airplane tray, right? And we were doing that at home, and the development of microwave.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? We're talking about generations of pre-processed chemical preserving, which is doing what? It's foreign to our bodies, and our bodies are responding. We have receptors in our cells.
Exactly.
So it's inflammation.
And fast foods now, like, you realize there's so much on the processed food. Some of the stuff is not even, good for you. I mean, like the way if you look at the way they raise the animals today.
Oh, it evolved. It evolved. It is completely unnatural. And there's a whole animal world kingdom for their rights to roam free is one. And then we look at our own. What are we ingesting? And then you look at it's society, it's healthcare, and it's finance, right? Follow the dollar. Absolutely. So if we're looking at, why am I a nurse that believes in the industry so much, but wants to shift it? Because I felt it. I mean, and being a nurse, and when you get sick and you become the patient, wow, your eyes really, really open. Yes. What is it like to be a patient? What is it like to understand?
So, on that topic, what was your first journey in that wellness center? Like, what brought you to this place where you are today?
It culminated over the course of time. It was watching in public health. I spent a lot of my career in home care. Okay. How is that different than in the hospital? In the nursing in the hospital was quite quick on your feet. You had to do everything you had to minute by minute in that acute period of time. That's why they call that acute. Now that person is stabilized and they need to go to their next level of care. What's that? Okay. Anything.
Anything.
Well, home is one of them. But now, again, how society changes and then everything follows, healthcare had to change. What one was receiving in the unit now can be done at home. Percutaneous dialysis,
wow.
PICC lines where you have to put the thread, a tube from your elbow all the way through to the major artery of your heart at home.
At home, really?
Yes, but you need an X-ray machine and you need to be specialized.
Okay.
And, you know, following again the trend of healthcare and how the companies manipulate certain things, you know, what can be done at home, bringing it back to the hospital. It's just interesting. So yes, getting sick is the journey to really culminate and say, hey, wait a minute. And it's not kind, because when you're the nurse and they need you, you know, now we have capes. We were always this type of healthcare provider. We were always doing that. You know, it's like firemen. They go up the stairs to the fire when we're running out. Well, nurses and doctors and CNAs, nursing assistants and nutritionists, they're putting their goggles on and they're going in every day for this invisible.
Crazy. That is crazy.
So that's why.
Interesting. And now, what was that like for you in general to go through that process?
You know, I got terminated as a director.
Wow.
Because I was a patient who was going to need a surgery with an unknown time frame to be out. One that's illegal, but isn't that shocking? You've given shocking. All of you give all yourself
your whole life
to an organization, to a company, and then you are a healthcare employee in a healthcare setting. So what did that mean? That meant, wow, like, but I got sick.
Yes.
Then I got prolonged in my healing journey. You know, they always share, these are the things that might, this is routine, but there's things that might happen. Well, I was one of those, this might happen. So I did not come back to the workforce. So I'm sharing a healing life because yes, physiologically, I needed to heal things. Absolutely. But it impacts so much. I found out that a bilingual RN in South Florida with so much experience could not get a job for a year, because she had this gap of unemployment. So what does that do for your psyche?
Oh,
and what does that do to your economic life, right? Because we're holistic, mind, body, spirit.
And you cannot detach the mind to the body. It's all connected.
You can't, because now stress is increasing and you can't, and now your psyche is getting impacted and you're thinking, what am I doing? What's happening?
Crazy, crazy, crazy. And so that's what we consider the cons. What has been the pros in this field?
It really brought out to realize the things that we're trained to teach.
Yes.
Nurses teach all the time. And we're always telling patients, you know, things are going to get better. This is temporary. And even if there's things that are not temporary, but a change, we have to adjust our sails and go with the flow so that we can get on. Life is too beautiful to stop.
Right.
Well, I had to practice my own medicine. So that was the turning point. So it really was the catalyst to make sure that I can send that message from an experienced perspective. So definitely, absolutely. When I was fine with the fact that, you know what, there was a shift in the universe, I could not be in that role anymore.
Yeah.
I needed to have surgery. All these things were necessary.
I know. And now I noticed that you also you became a certified coach.
I did that because that culminated everything. This downtime that I had was the opportunity to shift. I learned I needed to be still. Yes. My health needed to take it easy. And what was I gonna do? I got licensed to sell health insurance. Why? Because how important is it? I've seen people pass away. Yeah. So it gave me the opportunity to do that. And then I wanted to understand, I had to change my health, my physical health, get better. I lost weight. My lab values were much better. Cholesterol, no longer an issue. Hypertension, under control, minimize the medication. All these things, wonderful things took place.
Awesome. So sometimes, like I always say, when things like this, especially with the COVID, I found that a lot of people are finding their life purpose more because it's got you to look at it in the way of like sitting back, holding and looking back and saying, okay, do I really want to continue doing what I'm doing? And, you know, now is the time to take that time that we have, you know, because basically the world became standstill for some time. So
it became a standstill. And what
yeah.
do we do? We're all analyzing ourselves. So a coach.
It's the best thing. And for me, I've been teaching for so long. So it was nice to go back and study something I wanted to study because I have the time now and, you know, not feel that pressure because in a sense, even though I wasn't making that money, but it was like everything came into a standstill with that. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me use this time to nourish my brain, go back into what I want to do and see where it takes me. So I felt like everybody was doing the same thing. You know, it's like
we were all analyzing, and we are still all analyzing, and it's an amazing thing. It's definitely an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So a guide to guiding others to understand how to get control, to understand what the primary issues are, what the secondary issues are.
Now, what have you done during this time frame? Because I know it's been very tough for a lot of people, and some I've been okay with it. To me, it's been more of a yes, financially, I'm not where I want to be, but I have been able to understand this whole pandemic and make the best of it and take the time and use it wisely and apply as much as I can into the time.
Absolutely.
How
Absolutely.
have you made it lighter for yourself? What has made it fun and light for you where you don't feel that pressure that others do feel pressure? Because some people need the social, we are human beings that need to be socializing. But I'm grateful I have a wonderful partner that I can spend that time with, and we love to cook together. We love to spend time together. We'll watch movies together. And at the same time, we have our times where we go into our study zone. And yet we find that we can live like this away from in the mountains and be still happy. But there's a lot of people out there. Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that cannot do that, you know, and find themselves like they need that contact, or they're not happy at home. And so what have you done? Because you're still single, or?
I am single.
So
and
how did you handle that?
It was very hard. It was something that I needed to, again, get back into touch, which is part of why I feel so wonderful and passionate about holistic health in the first place, because we are spiritual and holistic. But we're human. And so, you know, confined, when you're by yourself, your shadow work. So I did shadow work. I did mirror work. I walked around my complex. If we were not allowed to go to the beach, I moved from New York to Florida to be near a beach. I'm near a beach and you close the beach? Like that was, what? So I walked around the neighborhood. What did that mean? I met neighbors. We stood far away from each other, and it just brought a whole bunch of sense of community. We were all under the same limitations. This ability with Zoom, I have reconnected with so many more people because now everybody was home. There was the opportunity for all the different apps to communicate. So maintaining communication, maintaining friends, healing and forgiveness, realizing, you know what, there's reasons why individuals are in your life and there's reasons why individuals are not.
It's true. And what are some other healing modalities have you included during this time for yourself?
Reiki. One of my acquired certifications during the time of stillness was Reiki. I became a Reiki practitioner. I'm a Leo. I say yes to something. And it's full throttle. Oh, Reiki certification? How many levels? Okay, yes. So each one run after the other. Beautiful. The next one is Reiki Master.
So how are you handling the Reiki within yourself right now? Like, what is it that you're doing at the moment today for yourself?
Even today, right before we started, I sprayed my oil, and I started rubbing my hands because I want to get that energy flowing. And in my mind, it's the symbols and just putting light and opening up a channel for a great exchange so that anybody who is listening whether they know it or not, their higher selves are feeling the positive energy that
Absolutely.
I was going to make sure we put out towards
the universe,
everybody
and everyone that's listening. And anytime they listen to this, it's going to be a perfect time for them. They'll have some kind of information, and I think that is beautiful. One thing I love about Reiki, I tapped into it naturally very young, so it was, and I didn't know I did it. It took me later in my years when I started teaching yoga, did I actually learn it through a friend who now is in Texas, and she's the one that basically told me, do you realize what you're doing? Do you know that you're teaching, you have the ability, natural ability to heal people? And that's when I dove into it. So when people tell me that they're diving into it and they respect that energy and they understand the energy and they understand that what they're, that it's about calling it in. Even if you don't understand Reiki and people hear it for the first time, what does that mean? It's really drawing that energy of light to you and those that surround you.
It's a vibration.
Exactly.
It's a healing. It's a chi. We hear all these words. It is not a religion. It is definitely something in healthcare. If we look at some of the tests we take, we have to do CAT scan. We do X-ray. We do electromagnetic, right? We have all these imaging tests. So what is an MRI? They put you in a machine and they scan, beep, 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 beep. What are they doing? They're scanning all the different colors on some of these tests. That's your energy.
Wow,
that's energy. Our cells that are releasing energy. So it's life force. Reiki is just.
I find it that it's one of the things that people don't realize that, you know, when you look, I always tell my students when I'm doing teacher training about Reiki is to look at it as like when animals are around. If one animal comes in close to the other, they know the energy as well. And how about when they're not from the same family? If they come from
exactly.
Like, you're talking about a dog and a cat, or a dog and an odd animal that you would think that and you find that bond. That's kind of like Reiki. It's that energy. They have
absolutely.
And that's the same thing. We have the ability to do that. And I've walked in stores where I was like, oh, I can't stand the energy in here and I have to get out.
Oh my gosh. There's a saying, and people, if we think about it, have you been to such and such a place? The atmosphere is so thick you can cut it with a knife. There's like a saying. Well, what did that really mean? Now that if we look back, it meant that there's a vibration in there that's just you feel it. You can feel when you go into a room, in the patient's room, if you're going anywhere you are. So I always feel that now it's just changed. I'm such a happier individual, and I want that for everybody. I want individuals to know that you're going to have days where our human selves are going to be challenged for coping. We're going to be putting in everything we've tried. We're going to try to make the best effort forward for our relationships, for our careers, for our health.
Absolutely.
We still may end up breaking up. We still may end up getting terminated. We still may end up getting sick. So now what?
Yes.
Adjust the sails. I survived being sick. I survived being unemployed for over a year to almost 2 years as a registered nurse. What? People, you'll always have a job. No, you won't.
Yeah. And that's the reality of things. Like, look at it in this perspective. It's so true because I find that during the COVID, there were so many changes and so many things that, that people thought they had these careers locked in, and then all of a sudden they've been finding themselves out of it. With nurses, especially, I met another lady that was a traveling nurse. And as soon as COVID hit, she had to head back and she was without a job. I don't know where she's at the moment. I only met her briefly and I was like, wow, with everything that was going on, you would think that they
teachers.
Yes.
Teachers, students, the art industry. I mean, globally, it has been something else. And there is a struggle and there is people on food lines. And I know that some individuals are so deep in their darkness, they don't know that there might be something better coming along. There's not to be religious, but I mean, sometimes we are holding on to something, this idea so much, but there's this other thing that's so much grander. We just don't see it. Yeah, I'm divorced. Yes. Was I struggling? I remember falling apart, crying in an airport.
Yeah.
How am I going to be divorced? And then, oh my gosh, it was the best. I mean, I couldn't stay in that. I couldn't stay in that union.
Yeah.
It wasn't healthy, and both of us are happy. It just,
When you
it's
look
a
back
different
now,
perspective.
right?
Yes. Why would we have prevented the other from being in our best union? We should have stayed friends. Sometimes things are not what we think it's going to be.
Or they're not meant to be. They're temporary. There was, like I say, temporary soulmates. I learned over the time. It's like, yes, we have those times, but sometimes they're only there for a life lesson. And once you learn it, like when I was also married, I got married, and 11 years later, I went through a divorce. But my life, I was also very codependent. And one of the things I've always wanted as a child was to not be codependent, but I grew up with a codependent relationship from watching it at home.
Absolutely.
So unconsciously, we do these unconscious things. And so here we go growing up, and I find myself thinking this is the forever. And then I'm thinking, no, what did I learn in that life lesson of those 11 years is I had to undo the codependency. And that's where I became the yoga teacher. That's where I became the best mom I wanted to become. And that's where I learned also how to also become an entrepreneur. Like, even though I'm still working on a lot of things and yet in that department, I became also focused on healing family, parents, mother and father, which is important in order for you to move on into the next relationship, because it's undoing those patterns and learning to love them unconditionally with who they are, for you to be able to then create that perfect partner you so desire.
That is so beautifully stated. That, as you're saying this, I'm reflecting on that integrative. That's that integrative. People hear the word integrative. What does that mean? Integrative health. This is a buzzword. No, integrating. We're taking all of the parts. When we talk about holistic, WHOLE, holistic.
Yes.
Right? It's spelled HOL. We take all of ourselves. In nursing, we learn that we treat the body holistically. But then what happens is that in medicine, we go into specialization. Oh, that's the cardiologist. That's going to take care of your heart. That's the endocrinologist going to take care of your adrenal system, your glandular system. But we have to take care of all of our systems.
All of it.
And that's exactly right.
Yes. And if you look at it in the chakra system, for those that don't know it, in the Eastern versus Western, in the Western, it's all about the organs, the 7 organs, going back down from the base all the way to the crown, which will be the brain. But we're now dealing with it in the Eastern, and it's basically your 7 chakras: the root, sacral, your
solar
plexus, your heart, throat, pineal, and then of course your big kahuna.
The ultimate.
Exactly. But they all integrate with one another, no different than the organs. If one fails, everything else starts falling apart, because what happens? The other ones work hard. So the same thing happens when you look at it in the physical aspect of our bodies. If we're stronger with our quads, but our hamstrings are weak, you're going to end up having also internal issues on the digestive system. And people don't realize that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when you gave me a treatment, same thing. I had a frozen shoulder based on an accident on a roller on one of those fun wavy water park things. That was actually a neck. It was a neck injury, but it impacted on other things. Yeah. And so what does that do? Inflammation. It's a mobile. When you see babies and you have that beautiful mobile that they see because they're staring all day, one part makes all the other parts move. And that's really what our life is. Our life is a big mobile. If one element is out of whack, if we're driving a car and one tire isn't working, the rest of the car halts.
Yeah, it's like the foundation. And the key thing is to really learn to understand each and every part of it and go to the root of the cause.
Go to the root of the cause, because that's so people.
Emotional.
I gain weight, emotional, physical, and it's a cycle. So you see, they put songs on loop. Well, this is a loop. If I'm emotionally upset, I'm going to eat. If I'm going to eat, I'm going to get heavier. If I'm going to get heavier, it's because I'm inflamed because of the stress, because of the emotion. It just keeps on going.
And like I said, one of the things that's where that 21-day reset I created. I never wanted to call it a challenge, because it is not a challenge. It's a reset of your mind and your body.
Absolutely.
And it's resetting your thoughts, so you can change the physiology of the way you think, so the body can start creating that change as well. And there's that, you experienced my
I
active
love the
release therapy
21.
ball.
Absolutely. Yes, I did. I love that ball. That's amazing.
Therefore,
And
helping
it's so
you release
true.
that. Yeah. You remember how
I
you had
couldn't
pain.
even, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Yes.
You know, this is a simple move, but
Yeah.
that if you take this arm and you limit it, and that's what we learn. That's where that passion comes. It's to show individuals. I mean, taking care of a stroke victim who lost they lost that limb, But how do we help them maneuver
around them?
Or if you want to use the word manipulate other muscles, maneuver other muscles so that they can get around. What setting do you set around? You know, put the glass on this side. That's the arm that works.
Right.
How do you
facilitate their bodies to adjust to where they are right now? Yes, I get it, because I've worked with people all walks of life, the same thing. And I find that some of them have had some things where they're not going to go 100% back, but they can work around it and strengthen the areas that are, you know, in that range. Like I have had people with their shoulders been torn, so I work around the other muscles that are coexisting, still working, but building strength, so they can still be able to enjoy, go play golf and do things that they want to do without it affecting their lifestyle.
Absolutely. I remember I was a home health aide, right, going through nursing school, and there was a lady that I met. I was doing 12-hour shifts, and she was in her 50s, but she was riddled with multiple sclerosis. I mean, talk about holistic healing. Was she healed? No, but this is a lady who I could picture her now. May she rest in peace, because this is a long time ago. Oh. She smiled all the time. She's in faith. She was in faith every day. Her children rallied around her. She ate healthy. So what did she do? She prevented her skin from breaking down, so she didn't get an infection, so she didn't have that aspect. She enjoyed healthy. Her heart was strong because she kept on eating healthy. She didn't have cholesterol issues. She had a positive attitude, so she enjoyed her day as much as she could within the capacity of her limited functioning body. She was a major lesson in, she could only move her hands and her head.
And I guarantee you a lot of that must have been what caused her to go through that, made her change her perspective. And some others can allow them to deteriorate. But the fact that sometimes it takes them to go through something to show, hey, you know what, I can take it from here and make the best out of it. I've noticed.
Yes.
That. Sometimes
she had an option. Absolutely. You could stay in bed. She was bedbound. Nope. She wanted to get into the chair. She wanted to be upright. That was excellent for her lungs. She breathed. It showed her family that mom is sitting up. She's in a chair. She engaged. They visited. She had company. I mean, magnanimous. So that was spiritual, physical, mental.
Yeah, I can imagine. So that felt really, how did that feel for you? Like, and what did it tell you?
It was wonderful. And I wasn't an RN at the time. I was studying nursing, but being in public health, from even as a home health aide, driving to people's houses and like a postman, right, in the rain and the sleet and snow, to take care of individuals who are discharged back home.
Oh, that's amazing. So what can you tell our listeners today regarding healing their bodies and mind? Basically, what would be something that you can tell us that are okay doing today in health-wise, or are wanting to transform? What advice can you give them, and what advice can you give those that have fallen sick? For those,
I would venture to say that it all starts with acknowledging. If we can't solve a problem if we don't recognize that one exists. And we may feel that everything is okay. So we may be sitting in amazing environments in what we think is the perfect marriage, the perfect relationship, that's union, whatever the union is, with whomever your partner is, with whatever housing, with whatever job, your surrounding, whatever your mental process is that thinks, I've arrived, this is it. It may not be, except, but why am I heavy? But, you know, positive attitude, pardon my throat. Gratitude, being grateful. And that was a process for me. I was not able to have children because I was on this career path and keep on striving and divorced. And I'm like, I know that it's coming. I know that it's coming. But I got sick and then I had a hysterectomy.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, some individuals feel like they hold their lack of existence because they don't have that organ. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't have it all.
Well, we can always adopt, you know.
Exactly, but that's the issue. It's problem solution. And in nursing, what do? We're taught we have to have a rationale for what's happening, and we have to understand the problem so we can come up with an answer. So health coaching, holistic health, yoga, we have an issue. In a yoga class, you know it. If I can't kneel because I had knee surgery, then I can alter my maneuver and still participate with that particular asana in a certain way, no matter what. Absolutely. And that's what we should do in life. We should make sure, pardon me, that we have to figure out that there's another way. If we don't start figuring out that there's another way, we don't exist. If we don't hydrate, we don't exist. If we don't feed our bodies, we don't exist. Exactly. So I have to eat at Whole Foods. You know, if I'm unemployed and I'm waiting for a check because I lost my job in COVID and you know food is so expensive and they're predicting it's going to go higher, then I'll eat more plants. Why can't I have a salad? I'll have a bigger salad. Put everything in it. That's your protein.
There you go. Like I said, it's learning to think outside the box in a creative way that is very holistic for you and what was best for you. Put yourself in a better environment and make the best out of that environment. And
absolutely. Financially, I ate cereal for breakfast. Breakfast cereal, I had it for dinner. I wasn't troubling anybody because I didn't have the employment. But it's all different things, and not to minimize anyone who feels the struggle, because it's important to accept it and be felt. You got to be heard.
I've been there before. So I told you, raising my daughter, I remember there were days that when I went through my divorce that I had nothing coming in, and I was like, oh, it's tough. But I never let her know that. I'd be like, you know what? We're having cereal today. We're having egg at night with some rice. And then some veggies.
That's my favorite meal.
That was my favorite meal. So it's like that I was like fried egg on top of the rice, and then I would have like some asparagus, and that was it. That was us eating that, and
and then I switch it to quinoa when you get employed. Yeah. I mean, it's all.
Yeah, you just do what you can, with what you can.
You do what you can.
I've done the same thing, so I totally understand. And the COVID also made us, because we're vegans, it makes it easier, for us to go ahead and make it. We like Taco Tuesday. We make it for us it's Tuesdays every day. There's
oh my God, the jackfruit filling up in a holy. I mean, that's like amazing. There's so many natural wonders that are available. If we could take our horse blinders off and just take a look and see. That would be my advice. And look at all of it. I want to see myself physically. We have to accept who we're seeing in the mirror. We have to accept, how did I get here? Wherever your here is, we have to realize, you know what? I have to get over certain types of things. That mirror therapy is amazing. Look at yourself, your physical image, and say, you know what? I have dimples. I have long hair. I have short hair. I'm not bony. I'm a little fluffy. It's okay.
Have you ever practiced also your inner child work, where you look at yourself as a child that in your best age that you felt you were the happiest, and then you look at yourself now, and in a meditation, what I do is I guide you to talk to you. And what would you tell this child? How would you care and nurture them? And how would you hold this child and let them know that the things that are coming you're gonna be okay? That is a beautiful work, and that's the one I use a lot for myself.
I participated in one of yours, and I did another one. Yes, I remember that, and there's a beautiful picture out, and it's a little child. It's a little girl facing the horizon. It's her back that we see, and she's holding one red balloon. I think we've all seen it somehow. Uh-huh. And that's really it. I mean, it's understanding, it's acceptance, it's appreciating our vessel, how it is, how did we get here. If there's something you want to change, you can gouache all your forehead lines. You could add an extra cup of water.
But what I love about you when I met you is that you have this beautiful inner spirit. Maybe that's a little thing between us, but you have this thing that you joy for life. I love that. And I think that, and look, you're your Instagram, Healthy Joy.
Health joy journey. The reason
Yes.
for that is exactly that. So people say, "Oh, health coach." That's like a tag now. Everybody, even when they're not studying it, they're a health coach. I don't even like the word coach.
Me too.
I like mentor. And even not mentor.
Yeah, but I know what you mean.
I wish it was just healing sounds great. So my whole thing is, I had to have. We're in this journey, period. If we're not on this journey, we're dead. That's it. You're pregnant or you're not pregnant. So you're alive or you're not.
Exactly.
Well, we're here, we're alive. God bless. So what do we do? Source bless. But embrace it. How do we have a healthy, joyous journey? And that's the whole route. I had to do it. I had to get over different tags,
Absolutely.
And society labels. Why do we gotta label anything? Why can't we just be? I mean, honestly, I might be vegetarian or pescatarian. It doesn't matter. I never people tell me, oh, you don't eat meat. You must be a vegetarian. No, I can't be. But to break it down, I just say I enjoy food, and I pick whatever it is I feel like I want to eat at this time. I just opt not to eat a certain type of food.
Exactly.
Therefore, it's not boxing.
It's not labeling. I don't label because I have my moments. There'll be a day when I go to my parents, my dad will decide to give me some kind of turkey. At least it's alkalizing. So he'll make it empanada. And I was like, I'll be like, okay, I want vegan, but the only one he gives 100% to is my daughter, because she's vegan all the way. So he'll make vegan for her, but then with me, he'll be like, no, you're having turkey.
So that's the grandchild. Sorry, you lost.
So that's okay. And then I'm okay with that. I just smile. It's like I'm expected to eat meat. So, but again, I'm not 100%. Like I'll go with the flow of what my body needs. I listen to it. If it craves it, it does. Like I've been in this vegetarian because I do like my egg and I like my cheese here, even though I'm not allowed to have too much cheese because my body does not agree to it. I have a small portion on certain times, and then I'm okay with it. I find myself in a better place because I choose to do it this way. Some days I'll go vegan, some days I'll go vegetarian, some days I'll decide to go pescatarian. It varies. It just varies.
I agree. That's why I keep doing ebbs and flow.
You said it, ebbs and flow.
It's always ebbs and flow. Ebbs and flow life. We have to allow our adaptability. What is Darwin's theory? Survival. Who's going to survive? No one died of one cheeseburger. Exactly. However,
moderation.
I mean, and I don't want to disrespect anyone. If you believe wholly that you don't eat a cow, that's amazing. And don't eat that, also, but definitely if we gave ourselves permission and gave ourselves grace.
Yes.
Right. And if we gave everybody else grace, we're always trying to be courteous and professionally and politically correct to others. Well, why don't we start with ourselves?
Exactly. Always with yourself. It's like when I used to tell those when I was becoming a mother, and the one thing I said is I cannot be a good mother if I don't take care of me first. I have to learn to understand and love myself in order for me. And I was nursing mom for almost 2 years, 17 months. So what did they teach you for those becoming mommies up there? I said, if you are not in the best place, you don't think your baby takes that from you?
They absolutely do. In healthcare, in pediatrics and in nursery, we see mothers who struggle, but there's an energy there. I mean, children do it. If you have a children, there's some children that are fussy, but a stranger will walk up to them and a parent will look and be like, oh my God, he's not that way with everybody. What is it about you? What is it about you? It's your energy. You see a dog barking and they're ferocious, but then somebody comes along and they're just like wagging their tail and they're all mushy. Why? It's an energy. If you calm down, help the baby latch, you're gonna get the milk. They're gonna latch.
They're gonna latch, yeah. And it's also, like I said, what happens to the body, the physiology of the body with the milk, it changes. If you are not in a good mood, the baby it goes rancid, correct? It changes.
Oh my goodness.
It changes.
Because yes, if we look at our bodies, take away our spiritual, take away our everything else, our essence, and leave it to exactly what it is, the constituents of what our human body is, we're a bag in our skin of water, primarily.
Primarily, yes.
And matter. We're cells, but also chemicals. We are a sack of chemicals. We are serotonin. We are thyroxine. We are dopamine. We are all
Everything.
these different chemicals, hormones. We're estrogen.
Yes.
So what are we? If you take away the emotional component, the fact that we can communicate, talk.
Yes, yes.
Physically, verbally.
But how we feel is a component. What changes and alters the state in our hormones, in our bodies, in our chemicals can alter at that moment.
Absolutely, it's another energy that can shift it. So if I'm worried and I can't sleep at night, well, guess what's happening? I'm worried. I can't sleep. I'm stressed. Therefore, I'm inflamed. I'm inflamed and stressed. Therefore, my cortisol hormone is trying to calm the body down. It's an amazing equilibrium body. The cortisol high does what? Produces an abdominal bloating. It looks like you look like you're bloated. So then you wake up and you think you're fat. No, you probably, if you drank water, slept a good amount of hours and hydrated, you would probably wake up 3 pounds less.
Yes.
And that's water retention.
Yes, water retention, one of many, but then also sleep is the key to a good balanced mind and productivity the next day too, because I find that depression, anxiety, a lot of people don't sleep well. It's that musical playing. It's the same play. Yes. If we're not resting, it's like REM sleep. If we don't get our brain, which was always on, imagine when your computer is always on, when your phone is always on, the computer starts frying. Yes.
Right? It starts like you have to reboot it. Well, we have to reboot. Our cells multiply, we grow. Our cells that are dying are being replaced. Most in our sleep is when we're regenerating. So we will make sure our phones are charged. We are not running out of our iPhone.
Isn't that crazy?
Right? Or our Droid battery.
Yeah.
But we are a mobile device and we need to be charged.
Yes, we need to charge ourselves, and that I agree. I disconnect at night. By 9 o'clock, a lot of people can't reach me. I'll look the next morning when I wake up, and then I'll answer by a certain time. But for the most part, I take myself away from all that. I disconnect on the weekend a lot of times, from just in general, from just the social. Although even though I'm in the spotlight, I have to force myself out there.
We need to be able to. We have to give ourselves grace and time and space. We need it. We need it.
We live here in Florida. I know you love your beach, so you go out to the beach. I can just go out for walks or runs. That's my way of grounding and my yoga. For you, is your nature, being out in the
I love being in nature. I can Reiki myself in a moment. We'll be in the middle of a team conference. I do appeals during the day. And, I read medical records and watch individuals get denied for services. So how is that healthy? Well, I will do Reiki and I will put myself into a place to say, I hope that these individuals and all the individuals caring for this person, this name on a record, are going to put them in the best level of care. Let them, it is what it is. And we just need to be able to work through.
You're a light seer. You're a light seer. You're out there. You're an angel of light, helping others, sending prayers. I love it. You're like me. I do the same thing for a lot of people. And what
people would say, go ahead.
What would you say today to any positive for those that are living right now in the cold, that cannot have the beach or don't have that ability to because they're stuck in, let's say, weather? What would you give them? A positive way of looking?
Well, I can give that off firsthand. I happen to have I spent my first winter in New York for over 5 to 6 months. Why? I got an emergency text that my father, who was healthy, was going to have emergency open heart surgery. So in 24 hours, I packed up a bag, my computer, and came to New York. So I've spent this past winter in New York with my apartment in Florida empty. So, itching and wanting to have the beach and knowing that this was the best climate that there is down there. But amen, I have my father, and it was a nurse nursing a parent. Yeah. So what did I do?
How was that like for you? What did you do during this time?
That it was amazing. It was amazing to be able to have to know that there might have been a reason why I was raised to be a nurse. My sister is a teacher. So my 2 parents are 87 this year, God bless. are healthy and, you know, more pepper than salt in their
That's
hair.
cute.
Like they're youth, they're very young.
That's beautiful.
Although on their age. So,
Yeah.
but things are happening. And so it's helping me see, you know, I'm blessed to be able to put the nursing onto them.
Yes.
What would I tell somebody who's stuck in an environment that they're not used to or that would not be their optimal? Well, I'm here. We have a fireplace and I love fires. A bonfire. I always wanted to do a beach bonfire. Well, my bonfire was in a fireplace here. So I would get up extra early while they were sleeping and sit in front 5:30 in the morning and watch and have a fire, be warm, have a cup of coffee, just that time, and pray and ask for grace, for strength to work, to help heal.
So it was a form of grounding that you did here.
A form of grounding, definitely take, absolutely. Go outside when you need to, enjoy the cold. Yeah. I posted a video of me playing in the snow. I can't stand the snow, but you know what? It has to be shoveled. They can't shovel it. So what did I got booted up, dressed up. I put on the record and I did I don't know, boomerang or some TikTok thing. I mean, this, I did a TikTok, what?
Yeah, I know.
I
don't even know how to use that yet. I'll keep it simple.
So I danced and snowed.
Oh, that's
I danced in the snow and I showed them. They smiled. It got shoveled. I survived it.
I love that. I love that. Any positive highlights you may want to share with the world?
Oh my goodness, the opportunity to have this opportunity here. This was impromptu and delicious.
Yes,
I think that definitely any opportunity that we can during any part of our day, if we can just really be in gratitude, if we can just look at a flip side or analyze why, the question, the why, what is the why? We get trained, what is the why? If you want to do a business development program, you have to ask what your why is. If you're in an MLM program, you know, you have to sell this. You have to ask why do you want to gain these much sales? Well, why is your why? Why do I feel this way? What led me here? No matter what it is, whatever the thought is, and be able to embrace it, give yourself grace, and reach out. I mean, yoga, nurse, integrative health coach, Reiki. Yes. All of it. Take it all in.
Take it all. Yeah, everything. There's always something that's going to come out of it for you, you know, one way or the other, whether or not at some point everyone taps into it somehow.
And allow an energy exchange. Exactly. You know, everything doesn't have to be finance. I will Reiki somebody, not for money. I will Reiki somebody because somebody was having a in vitro process this past week. It's an energy. I believe in the life ebbs and flows. When you give, it comes back to you.
It comes back. I've given so much. I've done 3 teacher trainings, which, you know, they cost. I charged $3,500, but I remember there was 2 people in my life that really I saw light in them, and I said, okay. And one is a family member, and the other one I know. And I gave it to them because I saw them even for their own health. And one of them, as I said, is a family member, was having issues with the spine. Her spine she was going to go into surgery. And I said, you know what, you're coming into teacher training with me because I'm going to teach you all about the chakras, understanding what your body. So you know that to this day, her spine, she went 8 months later from the first x-ray that the doctor said that till like 6 months later, he saw her spine shift a lot better. To this day, she's not in much pain. She still has a scoliosis, but she's not in much pain. And she understood how to kind of change her mindset. Her physiology of her body shifted a lot to a better. You see her standing taller. I have scoliosis, and you would never know.
My gosh, you would never know. Exactly.
You would never know. And all the tools I have created today with yoga, with the active release therapy balls, those balls I've created that I've, you know, they're my trademark babies. They're in that 21-day reset, the yoga, the format of breathing, to the affirmations, to the journaling.
Absolutely. Yes. Positive things to do every day. Yes.
It changes you like you don't understand. So it's a beautiful thing to see people
apply
it. And I've applied every little thing in my life and put it in one, and just giving you here and there so you can gravitate to what works best for you. And then
I
also
agree.
food, number one issue.
Absolutely food. Sometimes in the day, if somebody feels anxious, if they could just sense that they're feeling anxious, they could simply take their hand and touch their heart space and just
go back into gratitude, right? Like you
breathe.
said.
And that's it. That didn't take any special certification or anything.
Nothing.
That's what I would say. If just give yourself grace. And it's not woo-woo and it's not anything. It's
That's
just
beautiful.
You give your mother a hug, you give your pets, give yourself that too.
And my last question I have for today is like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Oh my goodness, 5 years from now, I will be working for corporate USA. I'll be able to engage in this type of healing full time no matter what, and not with an expectation of being, my idea of success is not living in Malibu overlooking the ocean in a special mansion. That's not success to me. Some of those individuals, those fires, they found out that you still can't, that's not life per se.
Yeah, I know.
It would be the satisfaction to have these moments, to be able to know, as a nurse, for instance, I'll look at it back in reverse. I have a heaven of children that got put on this earth in a disease that they weren't going to be here.
Yeah.
But I have a heaven of children, a motherless person, and in gratitude for that. So 5 years from now, I'm going to be in gratitude for being able to touch lives, leave my handprint. If I can help as many people as I can while this tire is still circulating, so that people have a healthy, joyous journey, that would be amazing. And if I get to eat at the same time and have shelter, we're good.
I think you are what you want to create, and I think I know that you will get there, because again, Leo, from one Leo to another, we set our minds onto something, we make it happen, even if it takes a lifetime.
If it takes a lifetime, I'll always be working because I have a work ethic. I mean, yes. I'm serving now a community, it's just in a different way. I just need the hours of freedom to be able to do more of the way that I want to practice nursing. And and that's it. And that's really what it is. It's
beautiful.
Being a nurse in a holistic manner.
That's beautiful.
So that people can be healthy and happy.
Yeah. I totally understand, honey. That's beautiful. And I know you'll get there. You're already there. So it's just, you're basically just redirecting another course of healing modality. That's all. Adding on to
absolutely. And I want to add to that. I want to gain another expense. It's
beautiful. It's beautiful. Because I'm the same way. I never stop learning. I always want to learn more and more and apply to what I already know and keep giving more of that out, because there's so many ways of just integrating what we learn and just applying it, and it's beautiful. I think it's amazing what,
it is amazing. I can tell you
today, can do when done.
Last week, I had a physician prescribe eucalyptus oil
I love that.
for my mother's chronic respiratory condition. I fell out of the chair. That was amazing. And she's been aerosoling eucalyptus, and it's cleared. And then, making a tea out of mullein leaves. What is that? A respiratory.
That's another one. There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them that actually help, that are very healthy. And I can actually put it on our link today if you want, for people
I would definitely do it.
Yes, I'll put it on the link. So, for anyone that has respiratory issues, it'll be something there's 5 of them, Mugworth and another one that you can actually use, and they're good. So
this is
mucus
the 5 years. Mucus to decrease mucus. I'll help increase respiratory, moisten the respiratory tract. That right there, 2 things. And that's what my future. That's 5 years from now. Being able to just help people in that type of way on a more full-time basis versus part-time.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I love things like that. And it has been an honor having you on. I thank you.
It has been amazing to be asked and to participate.
It's interesting because you're my 3rd podcast. So you're one of my few babies that came on board. And I have a few lined up on it's just getting everybody on board week to week is, it hasn't been a challenge yet, which I find it like this is meant to be. because sometimes when you start something, certain things you kind of find that ebb and flow is not there, you know, and I'm like, oh Jesus, this has been flowing for me, and you just happen to flow for me because one of them dropped down. I was like, okay, let me text you, and you happened to be texting me at that moment. I was like, oh my God, this is meant to be.
Alignment. It's all alignment. It's all alignment. It's wonderful, and it worked out. So I thank you so much. This is your third podcast, and this is my first participating, so I'm excited about that too.
Yes, and I definitely will want to come back to you at some point and see where you are down the road, and when you come up with another healing modality and where you are, you know, in that venue.
Oh, definitely, with you and your community and the community that's being built. I appreciate it, and any service I could be in. Reciprocated. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being part of my Holistic Yogi
I love you, honey, and I believe very much in everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's awesome, and my shoulder thanks you too.
You're very welcome. I will put all the links, your links below, your Instagram. Everybody can go ahead and reach this beautiful soul. I love her. She has a wonderful, inspiring way of, and I love your laugh. Oh my God, it's contagious. I love it. And a great soul. And any questions, again, as a nurse, she can provide. Our links will be below, and we look forward to another beautiful podcast next week. Until then, namaste, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you. Love and light. Thank you.
Love and light. Bye. Thank you.